What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shuggy from Shook Earth Media, and today we are taking a look at Fear the Walking Dead yet again. This is the final season, Season 8, Episode 5, just about to the halfway point of this season. And as you guys know, I've been pretty critical of this season so far, and as well as last season, if you guys have been following my videos for a while. But honestly, this is one of the better episodes since I've been reviewing this show. I think there are a couple things here that really work. One of it is just the core of the episode being the human drama of somebody getting bit and, a spoiler alert, suffering a loss and dying towards the end. There's some real emotions there, some good payoffs, stuff that had been set up in earlier seasons that ended up paying off into this episode. But of course, you can't ignore the elephants in the room, the goofiness that has been this season so far. So it's a lot of the illogical inconsistencies. And honestly, Mo's acting really kind of ruins a lot of the episode, what could have been better. But overall, it's a watchable episode. It's enjoyable, and it has some emotional payoffs. So, it's solid, which is about as good as we're ever going to get with Fear the Walking Dead nowadays. And probably the biggest difference is we have a competent screenwriter, David Johnson, who has written some really good episodes of Walking Dead over the years. He wrote the Here's Negan episode. That's one that comes to the top of my mind right away. So we got a decent screenwriter and some okay dialogue, and it focuses on the emotions of the characters. And another thing that really helps with this episode is like the characters' motivations, except for Mo at the end. We'll get to that when we get there. But in general, the motivations are focused, and it's not like people changing their mind every other line. It's not confusing and muddled. We're trying to save Grace, and that's what this episode's about. So, it's keeping it focused, not confusing the character arcs. That's one of the overarching issues with this show. It has just been everybody changing their mind all the time. It's just really hard to track where our characters are at any given moment in time. So that's pretty much my praise for the episode as far as it's gonna go. I will say Grace's actor, I forget her name offhand, but she does really good in this episode, and she kind of carries it really. So she's very good at dying. I'll give her that, and she dies for this whole episode. So okay, now we're just gonna get into the breakdown. So we pretty much pick up right where we leave off. We're on a boat to see June. She's got this magic radiation cure, and it turns out this episode it surfaces to kind of nerf that a little bit. It's not as magical as we thought. It turns out that Finch, the Dwight's son, might not actually be cured. So I think this is very crucial because it was kind of weird to have a whole cure. It's not really a cure because it's not like unmaking a zombie into a regular person, but it's kind of like they described it in an interview, sort of like amputating the limbs, except it's in a directed manner, which I suppose is okay. But like, wouldn't that also apply to like cauterizing and burning the wound too? But that's overthinking it. I'm glad that they put this episode in here so they don't just have a magic cure to any zombie bite, because like if they did that, it would pretty much be any future point in any Walking Dead show, somebody getting bit isn't going to be a big deal because we can just get them to the radiation machine, yada yada, and that'll be that. So we're on the boat, we're getting chased by these guys, and simultaneously we're on the radio with Shrike trying to make a deal. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense. You would think, why are these guys shooting at our guys if they are trying to make a deal with Shrike? It's a bit of a disconnect, but maybe they're just shooting to be intimidating, but not actually hit anybody. But then again, wouldn't they maybe think that they have a gun in this boat? And I don't know why who doesn't have a gun? I don't know why they don't have a gun, but I don't know. Maybe they never had one. I don't know. I kind of lost track of the last couple weeks of episodes, so I don't know. Maybe Dwight doesn't have a gun. Okay, but yeah. So they're on the radio, and just with this show, I'm so sick of seeing people talking over the radio all the time. But we've talked about that enough in my reviews. So I forgot to mention that over the radio, Shrike says she went all the way to King County just to look at some dead zombies, even though she had plenty of people loyal to her also there witnessing everything. I don't know why she had to go there herself Turns out I might have been wrong last week when I said it was like 8 hours away by car, and maybe Padre is actually in Georgia. But I have yet to confirm that, so I don't know. They said Louisiana at some point in the earlier episodes. If anybody has confirmation either way, would like to know where you learned that and your source and stuff. But yeah, it's really silly that Shrike would go all the way there, even if it's only an hour away. Doesn't even really add anything to the story, so I don't know why that's even in there. So Shrike wants to make a deal, and this is like the most illogical part of the episode. So we know she's got these canisters, these containers of the shipping dock bay thing. There's something in there that she needs, supposedly, and she wants Morgan. She's like, okay, we'll cure Grace if you take out all the zombies, which is like, okay, maybe she doesn't want to risk her own people. We'll get somebody else to do that. Fair enough. But then she's like, we'll let you bring the parents that are sworn enemies into that. And that's like, okay, so you're admitting that there's something in here that you need that's valuable, that could be helpful, and even giving some examples. I don't really remember everything, but she gives some examples of things here. Why would your sworn enemies kill all the zombies and then not just, like, take the shit back and not let you have it? I don't know. It's like, it doesn't really make sense to have this deal as a thing. But that's one thing with The Walking Dead in general. It's the whole franchise at this point. One of the things that they're really doing a lot of is kind of undercutting a lot of their antagonists. They did this with the Commonwealth to a lesser extent, where a lot of the Commonwealth soldiers are doing dumb stuff and they get surprised, and you know they are people outsmart them all the time, and they don't really seem like an intimidating force when they're that easy to fool. And they definitely did that with CRM and World Beyond, and also this show, where they just look very ineffectual. And I think that Padre's the worst example yet. They are not at all intimidating at all because of how easily our people have been able to move around and do stuff and get one over on them all the time. And, you know, we haven't seen Shrike kill anybody yet. So the only thing we've seen her do that's intimidating is let the kid get bit, which that's pretty dark. I like that scene. But that's just one of the overarching issues with Fear the Walking Dead and whatnot. So, yeah, the plan doesn't make any sense. You know, and Daniel's the only one talking sense, like, yeah, I'm not letting my people get stuck in a trap, but I don't think he could have gone the step further and say, like, oh, if we take over the... I don't know, it could have been to his strategic advantage, honestly, to take over the bay and not give it back, or, you know, negotiate or something, but I can understand the hesitation. You know, what if it's just a minefield in there, or there's some trap there, some, you know, like poison that gets sprung or something, you know, anything could happen. So I understand, you know, not wanting to walk into that situation. And I like Grace in this episode. Again, you know, I mentioned the acting is good, but also her motivation is like, don't get yourself killed for me. I don't want anybody risk their life for me. You know, I think that's pretty consistent with her character, and it's a realistic thing to have happen. She's like accepted before everybody else that she's going to die in this episode. And, you know, I like that aspect of her character. And again, it's like good screenwriting because, you know, it's just something that makes sense and we can relate to it. And it's consistent. It doesn't change, you know. So we get kind of a hokey action scene where Shrike is like, tells her people, we need to put down Grace if they're not going to take the deal. Which is like, I don't know why, you know, if she's so desperate to get to this container... You know, okay, Daniel's people aren't involved anymore. But she, in the first scene, said that that's like a possibility of something you could do. But said that, like, it didn't seem like that was inherent in the deal that they had to get Daniel's people on board in order for the Grace thing to happen. So it didn't really make sense to me that she was, like, pulling the rug out from under them. Like, okay, now we're just going to kill Grace. And, you know, it's pretty obvious what's about to happen. You know, they're about to put Grace down, and then our guys take them over. Again, you know, undercutting the antagonists, but... And of course, it's Mo that attacks first, which is just like... They're trying to make her way too strong of a character for an 8-year-old. You know, an 8-year-old, like, kicking you in the shins would feel like nothing. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And they try to make her too wise in this episode. They peel that back a little bit with her... making some mistakes, some crucial mistakes in this episode. That's good. But honestly, like, she has a lot of lines in this episode. Like, in this scene here, Mo says, we have somebody to fight for, and that means we're gonna win, which is a good line, although I feel like we've had it in Walking Dead before, or maybe it's a callback to this show. I don't remember exactly where I've heard it before, but it just, maybe, you know what, it might be actually something Morgan said to her. I don't remember exactly, but anyways, it's a good line, but it just doesn't sound right. The acting on her part isn't good in my opinion, but also the kid, like, I know we want to subvert expectations in today's world, but we're trying way too hard with that, and it really shouldn't be like, oh, the kid, we can't make the kid scared because that would be, what people expect. No, like, it's what makes sense, dude. Like, the kid would be scared. The kid's not the most brave person in the room, you know what I'm saying? It's just a little much, so I get the whole kids, being that naivete makes them want to fight for the right thing. But yeah, I don't know. She's just like stone faced this whole episode, like no emotion, bro. So I don't know. Anyways, I forgot to mention here that there is the reveal that Grace actually has cancer, which I suppose makes sense, and I wish they would have just told us that last week, because then it would have made that episode make a bit more sense, but I don't really know why that was necessary ultimately, since we have the bite going on. I don't know if that really added anything to the episode, but it does clarify some things a little bit. But yeah, overall, that's kind of why I forgot to mention it, because it almost doesn't affect the story at all. So now the deal's off, and they need to try to find the train, and that's a lot of this episode too. It's like, we're trying to chase a train. It's like, it can go faster than you. I don't understand why they would even think that, like, they could catch up to it. I don't understand that. Maybe they assume, like, oh, it has limited fuel or something. I don't know why they wouldn't just keep it going, but whatever. Also, Grace has a place she wants to go to, and it's an outpost. We get to it by the end of the episode, where she has stashed stuff over time, and that's where she wants to go to end her life. She wants to see the security she's tried to provide for Mo and Morgan in a life after Padre, and I like that in a sense. But there's also, like, the aspect that it was a facility that Padre is using, to the point where they sent Grace there to repair it, from what I understand. I don't know what exactly it was. It seemed like there were servers or some electronic stuff there. There's electricity there. So it's a station that Padre is aware of. I don't think you would want your secret hideout to be there. But I suppose that's a bit of a nitpick at the end of the day. But yeah, so that's the thrust of this episode. And now we're chasing the train. They have a lot of shots here from Grace's perspective, and, it kind of harkens back to the episode with Tyrese in the original series, which, that was a great episode too. Really liked that episode. But it makes sense to have Grace as like a point of view character, since this is her final episode. And I like those shots. They do get a little repetitive towards the end, but I'm just giving that a thumbs up here. So basically, Dwight and Sherry have tried to distract Padre, and they call them prefects, I think, the kids, the child soldiers. I like that we're splitting up. We're on the same team now. It's a bit different from the last episode. But yeah, okay, Dwight and Sherry we're all on the same team working together now. Sure, I'm down with that. Part of me thinks that, we have way too much of the episode talking on the radio, giving away too much information about what we're doing. When we know the enemies can hear us. They do acknowledge that at several points. And then we got Dwight laying down suppressive fire, and then they run away. The kids run away. Part of it just feels a little hokey, like, I don't know, why don't the kids don't have guns? They don't have guns, it seems, But wait, now Dwight has a gun. He wasn't shooting on the boat, so, I don't know, maybe he got the gun in the meantime, and we didn't see it. I don't know. There's logical stuff that's, like, hard to track here. But now Finch is getting sick again, and the bite looks really bad. They're getting in touch with June, and June's going to meet them at the outpost to try to cure it, which one thing is, like, they're going to this outpost. June wants to cure it, but doesn't she need the radiation stuff to do that? I don't know. I'm a little bit confused about all that. I can't believe I forgot to mention, but there's one part right here where Dwight says, "We'll send you the coordinates," and puts his radio away. Like, what are you gonna do? Send a carrier pigeon? Send her a text message, an email? What is going on? Why didn't he just immediately say what the coordinates were? Even though that is going to give away the position of the outpost that they're going to. Now they decide that Morgan's going to split off because they want to go to the carnival we saw in the first episode. And I was like, oh, okay, we're actually going to get to go to the carnival. We don't go to the carnival in this episode. But he's going to go clear it, and then they're going to catch up later. I don't really understand why they do the split up thing, but they have to do that because the next scene is Mo deciding, no, we are going to the train after all, and Grace is talking sense like it's going to be guarded, we shouldn't go there. So, I like the kid doing something that doesn't really make sense, that's all good. But, just the logistics of this 8-year-old dragging Grace up onto this thing through the woods, on her own, and also Morgan leaving her alone with Grace on the boat when we know that Grace might turn at any time seems a little irresponsible, but maybe that's because Morgan's afraid he won't be able to do it. So, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff here that's worth questioning. But honestly, like, the emotions of it work well enough that I can look past some of it, but it does stack up. Like, there's a lot of questionable things happening right now. But you'll notice my tone is, I'm not angry at this episode because there are some positives, So, we're on our way to the train and the prefects are there, which I suppose it's a different group of prefects than we're chasing Dwight around. We'll get back to that scene in a second. Now we're at the facility that Grace set up. We're waiting here for June. And, again, I like the idea of having a little hideout. But part of me's like, wouldn't you want to get as far away from as possible from Padre? But that's a nitpick at the end of the day. So we're here, and now Dove is in between Mo, Grace, and the train. Which, I don't know why the kids don't have guns. It's very selective where the guns are. And I don't understand. Like, the Padres seem to have a lot of them because June had stacked up so many and yet they still had some. But the kids don't have them. I don't know. Also, like, Dove being on the Padre side makes no sense because I didn't cover too much in my review of that episode. But they're like, we killed your mother, but somehow it's Madison's fault. Therefore, you should be on our side. It made no sense. Okay, but whatever. She's the only one who can really say, okay, Padre's an idea. It's not a person, and she's fighting back against that idea. That it's decent enough that I can buy it for this scene. But, one thing I haven't mentioned yet is just that their strike is like, if we get to the canisters and we get the things that we need from there, we can spread our ideology or whatever, our Padre idea to other places, and then we'll be able to remake society in our image, yada yada. But it's a completely unsustainable model because eventually you're going to run out of other people's children to take. So you're going to have to start making some of your own children, at which point you're completely not doing the whole, oh, we won't lose parents thing. So that makes no sense. But that's not on this episode in particular. That's on this whole season. So, I'm not going to dock this particular episode for that. It's just like, come on, dude. So now we're on the train again. AMC's like, bro, we made a new set. We got to get as much use out of it as possible, okay? Our budget is really low this season. That's the impression I get. But it's fine. I understand making the most out of what you build. June is guiding Mo through the radiation treatments. That part's all well and good. And lo and behold, it doesn't work. And here we get the best scene in the episode. It is a really, really great scene. And it even got me, somebody who doesn't really care about Grace. I don't really care about Mo. I care about Morgan to an extent, but they've kind of, like, character assassinated him enough that I don't know if I really care anymore. Despite all that, this scene got me emotional, because it's a very relatable thing. And again, it's a payoff from seasons ago when Mo first shows up. They're about to kill themselves, and Mo shows up. Perfect timing, coincidences, but that's a criticism for a previous episode. Grace says that Mo showed up and gave them more time, and Mo is talking about how she wasted the time that they had left, and then Grace retorts with, "You gave us more time." It's really good. It's really good. I can't even front that it's not a good scene, and I think that's David Johnson doing his magic. So it does get emotional in this part. It's a really it's a powerful scene. I liked it. And, we got Morgan trying to catch up with them in time, but the tragedy is he's not going to make it in time for Grace before she turns. And they have their final goodbye over the radio. And it's an emotional scene. And, they did it pretty decent with the makeup in this scene. And I think they almost did better in this episode than they did with Rosita in the series finale. They kind of really prettied her up. Rosita, that is, in that episode, so you didn't really get as much impression that she was like really sick, but I think they did that for aesthetic reasons, but we don't need to really delve into that. I'm just saying that they did a decent job at making her look sickly. Mo's acting is the only thing that I can really say took me out of this. Was like, I don't feel like she really is feeling the things. So that's the only part that takes me out of it. But I've already mentioned that too much. I mean, it's a child actor. I feel bad even really saying that. But here, Grace turns and Mo can't do it. Again, the acting didn't sell it, but, whatever. I get the emotions of that. And they did a really smart thing in that there is no music in this scene. They let just the sound of the shuffling and all that be the soundtrack for this part. And it is a little bit hard to believe that Grace or that Mo would be able to hold back against Grace or, push her back and stuff, and that she would have the strength to, especially because like her hand was over Grace's mouth at certain points. It was like, it really feels like she should have got bit, but fine. Morgan shows up just in time. It is a coincidence, but in this case, we knew he was already on his way, so they set it up, so I'm fine with it. That was the best part of the episode, probably the best part of this whole season so far. So, a lot of people are going to point to the callbacks to season 1 in the, it was last episode, right? And, that episode didn't work for me for the reasons I mentioned, but that scene really did work for me there. And here's kind of where it all falls apart. So, Shrike's right outside. And she's still, for some reason, trying to get Morgan and all them on her side. At this point, it's like, I don't know why she's keeping alive all these people that are just never going to be on her side. Like, Morgan has betrayed you how many times now? And you keep trying. Nightingale, Mo keeps trying over and over again. She keeps trying with her over and over again. And I don't know. This scene just doesn't work at all for me. It's a whole fake standoff, even though it's not really a standoff because they're outgunned. You know what I mean? So, and then Mo comes through like, "Stop! I'm gonna help." And then she's like, "I'm the one who can kill all the zombies outside the containers." It's like, you're an 8-year-old kid. Okay? We got one 8-year-old kid on our side now. Now we can do I'll kill all the zombies, which we weren't able to do until now for some reason. Mo's gonna have the magic solution to that. I don't understand that at all. Okay, I don't get why. It's so silly, man. I can understand Mo being like, I don't want anybody else to get hurt. I just lost one parent, don't want to lose another. That's all fine, but I don't know, man. And here we got Morgan finally looking like he's gonna stand up for himself. And he fights these other two guys. They're threatening him, and then he manages to take out the two behind Shrike here. And then Shrike continues walking on as if she doesn't hear anything, which is weird. And then Morgan doesn't take the gun from the one who's down. You know, that would be my first move. Get the one with the gun down and then get the gun, because he's like the only one with the gun in the scene. And Stryker just doesn't even like hear that that's going on. Or like, I don't understand. And then Morgan walks close enough to her that she's able to trip him and then threaten him with the axe thing, which I get the call back at the axe thing, but we're like, we took that out of the storage. Why do you still have it? Why haven't you been using it? Why hasn't it been broken in the 7 years since we've seen it last? You know, whatever. It's another hokey action scene, but what can we do? It's Fear the Walking Dead. Okay, so that's pretty much the episode. And they lock Morgan in the train, and then they shoot off flares to bring zombies in. Which is like, if you just want him to die, just like fucking kill him already. Maybe, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't understand why they don't at this point. Honestly, maybe it's just to get Mo to do what they want. But what's so special about Mo? I don't understand, dude. Okay, but now Morgan is in the train. But again, like, there's other ways out of that train, right? Like that he can go up, he can go out the window. I don't know, man. Like, they locked the door, but is that really means he won't get out? I don't know. And then next week is going to be a climactic episode. I'm assuming that we're going to finish off Padre at this point. Like, I feel like that plot line's played out. I don't know where else we can go with that. So that's done, I suppose. And then we maybe Morgan is going to be written off next week. I don't know. It kind of feels like his storyline is going to be ending too. I mean, I think the next episode is called I See Red, which is what happens after he loses people. You know, I lose people, I lose myself. And I did, by the way, like the callback where he's like, I can't die. But really, it felt like at that moment, she should have been like, yes, you can. Pop, you're done. Okay, I don't know. So there's good and bad. You know, this episode's like a 5 out of 10, which is practically a 10 out of 10 by Fear the Walking Dead standards at this point. But that's pretty much all I got to say about this episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to smash thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video, which will be Dead City. Dead City comes out the same day as the mid-season finale for this show. I'm going to be doing the Dead City review first because I'm more excited about that. I feel like it has a better chance of being good. And we will then do my Fear the Walking Dead review the day after. So I'm just going to be focusing on Dead City first and foremost. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I will see you guys later. Peace out, everyone. Thanks for watching.